What if the way you've been telling your life story reveals the secret to what is holding you back? Stories play an integral part in how we see not only ourselves, but the whole world. Stories are more than just an important part of communication. They also reveal hidden aspects of our inner talk, which can either support us or end up holding us back from the very things we want most in life, without us even realizing it. Join author, mindset coach, and award-winning singer-songwriter Carrie Rowan on her show, Look for the Good, every Monday at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. when she shares nuggets of wisdom from her internationally best-selling book, Tell a New Story, 5 Simple Steps to Release Your Negative Stories and Bring Joy to Your Life. Carrie's powerful stories and compelling guests will empower you to change how you look at your own life while giving you some powerful tools and tips you can use every day to help you feel better and move yourself closer to the life you've been longing to live.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Look for the Good. I'm your host, Carrie Rowan, mindset strategist and coach, and I love sharing nuggets of wisdom about the stories that we tell each other, and more importantly, those stories we tell ourselves. You can join me and my special guests as we share our personal stories of strength and triumph every week here on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. You can listen online on your mobile device, in your car, or ask Alexa to play Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. And tune in every Monday at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. to get real stories and tips on how to turn your story and your life around and evolve with us as we unite humankind with universal love. So excited to be here with you today, everybody. And I just love talking about stories. You know, we love talking about stories. And I can't wait to introduce you to Chef Alina. Hello, Alina.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on. And we talk about stories, right? We talk about those stories, the good stories, the bad stories, and the ugly stories. Why do we do that? Because it's in those stories that we can teach other people. When we can own our stories and really look inside those stories, the truth is that behind that story that we think we can't share lies our superpower, right? And a lot of times we don't know that, especially when we're in the middle of the story, right? We can't see the ending. We can't see that this story might be our turnaround story. It might be our comeback story because we get so wrapped up in what's happening and the reality of it. It's hard to take that lens and pull it back, right? When we're in that story. And I have stories like that. You guys know my stories. Alina has stories like that. And it's in those stories, it's understanding and sharing those stories that we give other women and just all other humans permission to own their stories and to step into that story and what might possibly be their superpower. And that, my friends, is the power of storytelling. So I know when a client comes to me and says, "Oh, I just can't share the story. It's just awful. It's terrible." And when we dig into that, I know that we are on the verge of a breakthrough because it's in those very stories, the ones that, we wish didn't happen. And I'm not saying we can change the outcome of the stories, but I am saying that within those stories, when we can find the beauty within ourselves and use it to empower us, anything is possible. And I'm sure you would agree with that, Chef Alina.
I would. And it's so funny. So your intro just reminds me of, I have to tell you this real quick, especially because you were a musician, a singer, and into music. Do you know the song 100 Bad Days? Have you
Oh,
heard?
I'm not sure I
Oh my
do.
goodness. So the chorus of the song is 100 bad days make 100 good stories, and 100 good stories make me interesting at parties.
No kidding.
Yes, and that is it. The song is all about this. That's what it's about. Yeah, it's
Wow, that's
reframed
like
by the bad days. Yeah, it's really cool. So you have to look it up. You'll love it. It's a great
I
song.
totally gonna look it up. That should be like my theme song.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Like everything you said is wrapped up in that song. So you have to look it up.
Oh, is that like an older song, a newer song?
It's relatively new, I think, last 5 years or something. One of my friends introduced me to it last year. Yeah, who's really into mindset and stuff. Yeah, it's called 100 Bad Days. It's
I love it. I
yeah.
love it. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. That's a great little way to kick
You're
this
welcome.
off. You and I met at the Business Female Forward meeting. I think it was the Women's Day meeting, right? And I heard your talk and I was like, "Oh, we have so much to talk about." I so resonated with what you were saying. Really, really powerful. And before we dive into that, do you mind if I read your bio?
Go right ahead.
It's so fun to have somebody else read your bio, because all the feels come up for it. Um, so Chef Alina is a celebrated chef, and that's for sure. We're going to go into a little bit about that. An entrepreneur and culinary innovator with a passion for empowering others through food. Many in our community know her as the former owner of Sweet's Kitchen and Bar, a beloved Worcester bakery and restaurant known for its award winning desserts and creative cuisine. After closing Sweet in 2017, Alina transitioned into restaurant and bakery consulting, sharing her expertise with businesses across the country. Driven by her love for teaching and a desire to help people enjoy incredible food regardless of dietary restrictions, Alina launched ChefAlina.com, an online platform dedicated to gluten free baking and cooking. In under 3 years, she's transformed her business into a thriving 7-figure company, proving that passion, adaptability, and innovation can create extraordinary success. A dynamic speaker and industry leader, Alina brings a wealth of experience in business growth, digital entrepreneurship, and the art of resilience. On this International Women's Day, she shares her journey of reinvention and the lessons she learned in building a brand that serves a global community while staying true to her culinary roots. Love that. Thank you. Thank you for being on the show. And I love all your stories behind the story, right? Like there's so much more to that. And we're going to dive into that. So, when you were speaking at the chamber, you started telling that story about your trip to Kripalu and how that was like a turnaround moment for you. Can you share that with us? I thought that was so powerful.
Yeah, so in 2017, in 2016, so I had a restaurant and bakery for 17 years. Started off as just a bakery, morphed, grew, changed locations, but in 2017, it was a restaurant and bakery, 5,000 square feet, 40 employees, very busy and well known. And in that had been my life for 17 years. I started it when my son was 6 months old. So I opened my first bakery when he was 6 months old. And in 2015, 2016, I started having I've had a thyroid condition my whole life, but I started having symptoms that were not anything I'd ever dealt with. My memory was starting to be affected. Tried to hide it from my staff for a long time. I have vertigo. The big thing really was memory because that was affecting me in business. Like I would forget conversations I'd had with clients and things like that. And I ended up getting diagnosed with an autoimmune condition, a thyroid autoimmune disease. And through that, started kind of reevaluating everything I was doing. And at that time, even at that time, and any time before it, I could never have imagined doing anything else. When you're in the restaurant world and in that, and you love it and you're passionate about food and what you do, you kind of can't imagine doing anything else. It's very stressful, very hard industry, but for some reason, when you're in it, you buy into all of that, and that's part of it. That's somehow fantastic. In hindsight, I don't know how we all buy into all of that because it's not the most fantastic life. I love serving people and I love my restaurant family, but as far as if you have kids and a family, it's a pretty hard way to make a living. So I started kind of reevaluating all of that because of my health. And I ended up closing the restaurant in August of 2017, which was a big decision. The hardest part about it was that all my employees that I had, so I wanted to make sure that they were all taken care of and had places to go and stuff. And afterwards, I didn't know what I was going to do. I really didn't have a heck of a lot of a plan. And it was a huge adjustment because that had been my whole identity for 17 years. And shortly after closing, I saw a informational flyer or something that Mike Dooley was coming to Kripalu, and I had been following him through Notes to the Universe, which some people might know about, with these daily emails that he sends out that someone had turned me on to a few years earlier. And I thought, oh, that might be like, it was called Playing the Matrix, and it was kind of about finding your passion and figuring out what you wanted to do. And so it's kind of how it was framed. So I thought, oh, that would be a good thing to do, go away for a couple days and just work on myself. So I went, and really what the whole weekend boiled down to, and he has a book and a program still out there, I think, called Playing the Matrix, but really what it all boiled down to, in the end, this whole thing in a sentence came down to that we decide to be happy, and that you just need to decide to be happy. And happiness is an internal decision, and everything that we chase after in life that we think we want, that's on our vision boards and all the other stuff, it's all because we think those things will make us happy, whether it's a person, a place, or a thing. And that none of those things will make you happy unless you decide to be happy. And
Amen.
happiness, and that, yeah, and that happiness, the big kind of things that he was able to get across were that happiness, being happy doesn't mean everything's perfect. It doesn't mean everything's amazing in your life and you have everything you ever wanted. And that's not, because that's not what happiness is. You just decide, find things to be grateful, and wake up and just choose to be happy. You can be in pain and still be happy. You can be, it doesn't negate all the other things. And so that was a really big kind of game changer for me. Like, I've been into all of the personal development stuff. Like, it'd been around me my whole life. My grandmother was very into it. I'd been exposed to my whole life, but that was the first time that he really kind of made it click. And even about manifestation and all of it, that it's not all of those things only work because you do, because it all comes down to our decisions, and that your mindset really in the end, just that your mindset affects these micro actions that you take. And that's why it works. It's because it affects, if you really change your mindset, believe in it, and practice it, it changes how you act, which then of course changes how everything happens for you, to you, around you in the world. So yeah, that was a really big kind of shift for me. And I went into, from there, doing restaurant consulting for restaurants and bakeries. I was hired on as a interim culinary director at a country club for a while, and then from that, still doing the consulting for other people as well. Then I was hired, thankfully, right before COVID, as an interim culinary director for a private pay, very high-end Alzheimer's and dementia place, which was kind of a passion project for me, because my grandmother had lived somewhere like that for a very long time. And I knew that there was a lot missing in food and diet in those places. And thankfully so, because that was right before COVID hit. So being a restaurant and bakery consultant during COVID would not have been much of a living.
Yeah.
So, and so while I was there and through that whole time, and kind of even in the very beginning after that time at Copalo, I always thought that in some way that I wanted to do something online. I just didn't know what.
Hmm.
I thought it would be just a blog, kind of recipes from my time in the restaurant industry and bakery. And over the course of having these other jobs and kind of just being, I've always liked Facebook. I was in a lot of Facebook groups. And so when I was diagnosed with my autoimmune condition, part of that was, I was told that going on a gluten-free diet would really help me and help my condition. So I started looking into that online, and I joined a lot of groups, and I started seeing what people were missing and what people were looking for, and that there was a real gap in what was available for that community.
Hmm.
So I kind of changed my focus to knowing that I wanted to do something with that. And I still thought for a long time that it was going to be a blog and a website. So I started a website. I already had a website and had put some recipes on it, just my regular traditional recipes, things from my website, from my bakery. And I started to shift it over to really being gluten-free. Still not really sure what I was going to do. The old school model of food blogs, I think a lot of people don't realize, you get annoyed by all those ads, but that's the only way they make money. It's an extremely labor-intensive and expensive thing to do, food content, more than anything else. I think people don't realize we have to buy all the stuff, you got to make all the stuff, you got to test all the recipes. It doesn't always come out perfect the first time.
Yeah.
Photograph everything, write everything up. So it's a lot of work, and ads pay for that. I've never really loved ads. You have to get to a pretty high viewership before you're even approved by the big ad companies that do ads for websites to even make any kind of substantial living doing it. So I was just dabbling in it while I was doing other things. And then as luck in the universe would have it, in one of the Facebook groups I was in one day, somebody posed a question to the group. It was a group of food bloggers and online entrepreneurs,
Hmm.
asking someone what they would do if they wanted to make $50,000 in a week. And a gentleman answered and said, I sell some recipes. And I said, what? What are you talking? What do you mean? What are you talking about? Everybody gives their recipes away on their blogs and their website. You make money from advertising. How can you make that much money selling recipes? I don't understand, like selling recipes online. And he's a sweetheart. He's now a friend, and was very generous and answered me. And then we ended up messaging privately. And he told me that his wife, who didn't have a real culinary background, she was a homemaker, but she loved and was very good at decorating sugar cookies. And she taught classes online in sugar cookie decorating. And they had a
Wow.
7-figure business teaching sugar cookie decorating. Yeah,
Wow.
and
I
helping
love it.
people all over the world. And her story is similarly, she came out of an illness with one of her children, and cookie decorating became kind of like her happy place. And so
Mm.
she started sharing it with other people. So I learned a lot from them. And I eventually ended up, long story short, I ended up kind of following their model, combined with some other people I saw, and decided to start doing online classes and a membership in the gluten-free space. And that was 2.5 years ago that I decided to go all in full time on that.
Yeah.
And as part of that, to really invest in myself, I realized that um, yeah, it was a bigger risk to not invest in myself than it was to invest in myself. I think a lot of times, especially as women, we're not so apt to take a big chunk of money and invest it in coaching or training or whatever it is for ourselves, which is kind of crazy because all of that stuff isn't even close to what you'd pay for college. And so if you're going to learn something new or
Right.
even just evolve yourself as a human, like why wouldn't you invest in yourself? So yeah, I
I
invested in
agree.
a lot of programs for mindset and my own personal development, and then also on the business side of things to learn how to really learn about digital marketing and about creating community and all those kinds of things. And I started a Facebook group a few months after meeting Preston and learning what they were doing, which they didn't. I went about it a little bit differently than them, but I had seen other people in the coaching space do this. I started a Facebook group and really served my community. Like you have to mean it, you have to want it, it has to be your passion. Like if I didn't have to earn a living, I think the easiest way to look at it is what would you do if you didn't have to earn a living? I would still
Yeah.
do the same thing. I'd still be in there. I'd still want to be helping these people. I need to earn
Hmm.
a living, and um, I'm a that part was hard for me. Sales have always been hard for me. Because because I would just want to help people. And then someone's
Hmm.
like, oh, I don't really want to have to charge them. What if they can't afford it? But I also learned through all of that personal development and different courses. And one of my now I guess friends who is a coach who I follow has a great saying that I love. They say get rich and give back. It's like the bigger you grow and the more money you make, the more people you can help. It allows you to get your message farther. It allows you to do. Now I have a whole scholarship program. Like I couldn't do any of that if I hadn't turned it into a really viable business. So
I love
um,
that. Yeah,
yeah,
I love, and
learned a
I
lot.
think a lot of women too, with that particular issue right there that you mentioned, is they feel bad. Oh, I don't, I'm making $1 million. Like it's
Right.
going to change who I am. Or somehow they've got these negative money beliefs, that negative money story, if
What do
you
you worry
will.
about what other people are going to think of you, and then somehow you should be doing it for free because you can afford to do it for us, although well, we can't. We all have families and children, and
Right.
businesses, whether online or not, cost a whole bunch to run, and you employ people and all this other stuff. But yeah, we all have the silly stuff in our head about it.
Yeah.
And
Those silly little
reality,
stories. Yeah.
the bigger you get, the more people you can help. And
And
that's,
yeah.
that's the end goal if you're doing something you're passionate
I
about.
love that thought. I love that thought. And I also love, I'm going to go back to what you said because it's so powerful, is that you can choose happiness because I'm a mindset strategist, so I love all that stuff and have believed in that. And actually, I think I told you when we were first talking, wrote a song called Choose Happy. It's a kid's song
Yeah.
on one of my kids' albums. I have 4 albums. Um, because that's the power of it. A lot of people want to argue with that. Like you said before, it's not about the circumstances. It's like, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to make that decision despite fill in the blank because we all have a fill in the blank, don't we? We
Right.
wouldn't be alive if we didn't have problems. Problems are just an indicator that we're alive.
Yeah.
But I love that because it can really shift everything when you decide, hey, you know what? I'm going to choose to be happy and follow my dreams and I think that's such a powerful message. And you and I both used to sign up for those Notes to the Universe by Mike Dooley years ago.
And I think happy and grateful are really interchangeable. I think you hear a lot of people say, gratitude and or happy, and don't put the two together. But I think they're hand in hand. They're almost different ways of saying the same things because the way that you decide to be happy or are able to be happy really is in finding gratitude. And you can find gratitude in any situation, right? There's
Yes.
always there's a silver lining somewhere. There's a lesson. There's a it could have been worse, it could have been different, but there's the more you try to find the good and find the happy, the more you see it, right? I mean, that's
Yes.
just it is a fact. It's not a bunch of nonsense, people until it clicks with you, people think it's a, oh yeah, okay, I'm just gonna
Woo
manifest
woo.
whatever, but
Yeah.
it works because you really do find what you're looking for. And if you're always negative and always seeing the downside and unhappy and stressed and miserable, that you just feed that. Your brain doesn't know the difference between, your subconscious doesn't know the difference between if it's true or not, if it happened, if it didn't happen. So choose to pretend until you really feel it. If you don't really feel
Yep.
it, fake it until you do.
So true. So
So,
fake it till you make it. It's so
yeah.
true. I like even I love what you said because I think that gratitude, and I have a whole little webinar I do on this. It's misconstrued. People are like, of course I'm grateful when something good happens, but that's not what it is. It's a practice, right? It's like yoga. It's like going to the mat.
Yeah.
It's a practice where you have to retrain your brain because it is all of our brains are wired to look for what's wrong. Why? To keep us safe. It's just the way
Yeah.
our minds work. So when you can override that, I call it overcoming your biology, and you start to rework that. And what you said is exactly the way you do that with gratitude, practicing looking for the good because we're so good at looking for what's wrong to keep us safe that you start to rewire your brain. And thank you for that little plug because that's what we do here. We rewire our brains right through our stories and see the good within that story. See the good because I can look out the window right now and find five things to be grateful for.
Right. And I think that's what people miss is that it's the little things and they build. Like if you don't know where to start with every day. You have a roof over your head. You have, your house might be messy, but that's because there's a whole bunch of people in it that love you and are making your house a home, whatever it is. But there's
Yeah.
yeah,
Like
there's
when I
little
like
things all around you.
it's so true.
Yeah.
And it's easy once you get in the habit of it.
Yeah.
Because it's like you said before, and I love what you said about you get what you look for, right? If you're looking for all the things that are wrong, guess what? You get more of. And I try to always, I try to teach that to my own kids because it's kind of counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Well, I want this. Yeah, but you're shouting about this over here and you're complaining all the time that you don't have it, which is really not the same as focusing on, hey, what's my life going to be like? I love this. I love this about my life. It just changes your whole vibration, right? And that's the
Yeah.
message we send out to the universe.
Yeah.
Powerful stuff. Powerful. We're going to take a quick little break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Chef Alina. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Look for the Good. I'm here with Chef Alina, and we are having an incredible conversation. I love your story. I love how you had that epiphany with the Mike Dooley seminar at Kripalu and how it really, this trickle down effect that when you can grab onto something and have that aha moment, everything in your life can switch. Everything can change. You can unstuck yourself from wherever it is. And I feel like if we can just be open to what that is, right? And then remember it and practice it on a daily basis, which is everything that you were talking about. And I love that powerful story. Let's dig into your story a little bit more. Um, and I'd love for you to share. And I also love how you got your. We were talking a little bit about how you were on Chopped and the Cupcake Wars, and my daughter watched all those shows, so we can talk a little bit about that too and how that all wrapped in. But what was that mindset shift? You decided, okay, I can choose to be happy, and then we get a diagnosis or we get something that happens. How did you maintain that mindset and evolve it into this beautiful thing that you've created that is serving so many people?
Well, I mean, it really was, I guess I've had a little bit of that kind of resiliency and keep going my whole life, which definitely comes from my grandmother who was always into all of this kind of stuff. And whenever people would ask me when I was younger and I didn't really have the right answers for like, how do you do it? I was like, I don't know. You just do like, what's the alternative? Of course, you just keep going. Like, what else are you going to do? Like, I don't know. I'm very goal oriented and always kind of on to the next thing. And even with my autoimmune diagnosis, I definitely, I'm a big reader and researcher. So kind of anytime anything happens to me, that I want to know all about it and how other people deal with it, whatever else. And I remember actually with the autoimmune that I read an article, I don't know, it was a New Yorker or something. It was something that I like normally wouldn't even read that I randomly found online. And it was talking about how many people now we see so many people with autoimmune diseases and chronic illness, and it's everywhere, and people are talking about it. And how come it's so prevalent and it wasn't before? Which we could go off on a tangent about a whole bunch of things, but
Mhm.
the article talked about the fact that one of the things is that older generations just didn't talk about it and didn't complain about it. They just went on with life because they didn't have a choice. And it was talking about, specifically in this article, like three older women they interviewed. I remember one was an older Italian woman, like in their 80s or whatever, and asking in them, and basically it boiled down to them saying like, well, I can choose to be miserable and sit at home and be miserable about it. Or I can choose to go out my life. Either way, I'm going to feel like crap. So I might as well go out and be about my life. And like that struck such a chord with me. And like my personality is like, yeah, right. Like, why would I sit at home and like, if you're going to have bad days and I might feel bad, I might have a flare up and I might have to deal with this thing, but I might as well go out and try to figure out how to live life with it, because it's going to be with me either way, right? And
Yes.
so I think that then led me into wanting to help other people also feel that and understand that, and that it doesn't mean that your life is over, it changes. You just live with it and you don't let it identify you. It's not who you are, right? If you have
Yeah.
a chronic illness or autoimmune disease or something, you don't have to be identified by it. It shouldn't be your whole personality. It's part of your life, but you go on and you live your life despite it, um, with it. I mean, ironically, maybe it is part of my personality now because it's part of my brand, but I still don't lead with the fact that I have an autoimmune. My audience knows that because majority of people with who have to be gluten free are because of or have food allergies. It's due to autoimmune.
Yeah.
But again, it led me to really wanting to help people and connect with other people. So and that was in starting my Facebook group, and I loved it. I'm a very much a people person. I love online because as much as I'm a people person, when I meet people in person for the first time, a lot of people would maybe not guess this about me, but I actually am a little shy sometimes, like in person one-on-one, it's very easy not to be online.
Hmm.
And it was so easy to start to connect with people and be able to be and realize that I could be helpful and that I had something like all of my previous knowledge in cooking. And I had a fair amount of previous knowledge in health as well, that I could combine all of that together, which my mother had been telling me for years, you should take your health and fitness background and combine it with your food background. I never quite
Really?
how. Yeah, I never could. I always felt like they had to be separate.
Yep.
Uh, and this diagnosis, I guess, kind of gave me the way to combine them together and to be able to help people. And yeah, starting a Facebook group really was the beginning of it all and the smartest thing I ever did because it built a community. I mean, it's a very big, very strong community now, but it started small. All the people that were there in the beginning are still with me and a very big
Wow.
part of, yeah, very big part of my community.
That's really, really cool. I love that your mom said that to you because our moms know us so well, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes they'll drop that little bomb like, "Hey, you know what? You should think about doing XYZ," right? Fill in the blank. My mom has said that to
Yeah.
me many times, and I have to say, they're always right.
Yeah. Yeah. The older you get, the more you realize. So like, yeah, they're right. Try to tell your kids that, like, listen, I didn't want to listen to my mom either. I thought she was a pain in the neck when I was younger, but I should have listened to her sooner.
I know exactly. She'll even still now whisper things, in my ear, and I'm always like, "Ah, she's always right. That's right. I should do that. I should bring that all in." Because they know us so well. And so, yeah, listen to your moms if you're the younger people out there listening to us. Because we can see things that you can't necessarily see, right? Because we're not in the thick of it. We're not in the thick of the stories. We can step back a little bit and say, hey, you know what would be really awesome? So I love that you took that bold move and you were such an in person,
Yeah.
entrepreneur with your restaurant businesses and baking and like that's such an in person touch feel, right? And so to take that online is a really beautiful thing because I feel like they can see it's still and I tell this to clients all the time, it's still only you have that certain, je ne sais quoi, that magic
Yeah.
sauce, if you will. And then nobody else can duplicate. There can be 500 other websites,
Yeah.
but what you bring there is what makes it special. And I feel like that's sometimes what entrepreneurs miss because they want to do it like everybody else does. But when you do it like you do and you feel
Yeah.
it and it's your passion, other people feel that too and they want to be part of that. And it sounds
100%. And that is the big thing with online. I think when the audience is so big, right, because it becomes global now, it's not just your local community. You can reach and help so many more people, which I love about it. But exactly what you said is that it's everyone has their tribe. So if you're just you and you're genuine and you mean it, like I'm not doing this for any other reason than I want to help people. Like this is a way that I can help other people and make a difference. And by doing it my way and just being me, you find your tribe. You find the people that are attracted to you. Are there lots of other people that do what I do? There are, and they have their tribe. But there's plenty of people for everyone. And if you, the biggest part really is finding your comfort zone, what you're comfortable with, and the way that you want to deliver your message and teach people and help people. And if you're doing it in a really genuine way and a way that's comfortable for you, um, that's how you build a strong community because people feel that and it becomes a relationship and it really does become a community. That's why that really is why I love, Facebook is my favorite platform. And that's why, because because of groups, you're able to build a community. And we really all feel like the people that have been in my community for since the beginning, they really do feel like family. Everybody knows so much about each other. I know about them, they know about me, personal things. It really becomes such a true community, even though we feel like we all know each other and most of us have never met in person,
That's really cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing. It's awesome.
It's so cool. It's like what you said about your restaurant family, right? That was the hardest part about giving up your business because of the restaurant family. And now you have a new family, right? You've got this new family that loves what you do and they're hanging on your every recipe, right? They can't wait for the new stuff to come out. And I feel like that is. I still like Facebook too, I'm gonna say. And my kids are always like, "Oh, that's for like the moms." I'm like, "Well, then okay, I'm gonna embrace that. I like that."
Well, I mean, and if you have a business, I think a lot of it's funny. I feel like a lot of businesses and marketers are actually missing out on that. And I don't understand how, because if you know anything about business and marketing, since the beginning of whenever, everyone knows that women between the age of 35 and 70 control most household spending. We're the ones that like, so why are not more businesses on, that's where you should be. Of course you want to be in front of women that age. Where else would I want to be? And I mean, I'm also in that age group. So of course, where else would I want to be?
Right,
That's,
exactly.
it's my
Yeah,
community. It's my
it
community. But
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I love
it's,
that. It's
I
so
love
true
it.
because it's always the latest and the greatest, right? I mean, that's our society.
Yeah.
It's the latest and the greatest, the biggest and the best, right? So, but I still like it for that very same reason, and it just feels more comfortable. I actually before I did the show, I had a Facebook Live for 2 years right after I launched my book. And it was one of the greatest things. It was just something that my publishers like, you should do a Facebook Live because it was just kind of starting during COVID. And I'm like, okay, I'll do Facebook Live. And when I stopped it and I made the transition to this, because there's something magical about syndication as well. I had people that came up to me that I didn't even realize, like, hey, what? Hey, wait, you're not doing. We need to see you. We need that. Like,
Yeah.
I need that like daily dose of what you're talking about there, whatever it was. So it made me feel so good. But, and that's the thing, you don't really always know the impact that you're making
Yeah.
when you're putting out your
I'm
stuff.
fortunate that my community is very vocal, and it makes me it's the most rewarding job I've ever had. And I've had a lot of pretty cool jobs, but it's the most rewarding job I've ever had. For people that don't have a food allergy, I think it's really hard for them to understand. And I don't think, even though I had to go gluten free for myself, I think because I've been around food and scratch cooking like my whole life, and because my background is a chef, it wasn't as big of a like traumatic thing for me because I was able to still eat a lot the way that I always had, and change my recipes, do what I have to do. But for people that are diagnosed, and especially kids, I get really emotional a lot of times when I talk about it, when I talk about people's kids, because I can't imagine as a mom. I'm fortunate that none of my kids had any food allergies or severe health concerns. And as a parent, I cannot imagine what that's like. It's hard enough as an adult. Grown adults, when they find out they have a food allergy, you have to change. Food impacts so much of your life. And I think to people on the outside are like, it might seem kind of frivolous or like, yeah, you're changing people's lives, but I am changing people. And I didn't even realize to the depth until I started doing it and would get letters from people. And emails and people commenting in the group, especially people with children, and how life-changing it is to be able to let them feel normal, because food is a part of everything we do. It's not just what you eat every day for your nutrition and to sustain yourself. It's part in every culture. It's a part of our traditions. It's a part of our family history. It's a part of our celebrations of all big life moments, happy and sad. Like, it's such a part of culture. And when you're told that you drastically have to change that, things you've eaten your whole life or made your whole life, you can no longer have, that's really hard, and it takes quite a lot of adjustment for most people. So to be able to help people with that and to realize, and the more I've done it, that's why the community is so beautiful, because even from the beginning, I was able to ask people, what do you need? And I still do all the time. Like, what do you need? What do you want? I do this for them. So when I'm coming up with recipes or what I post and what I teach, it's not just because it's what I feel like doing. I'm always asking what people are looking for, because the whole reason I do it is for them. I'm not just doing it for something to do.
Mm-hmm.
And community allows you to kind of have that back and forth and get that feedback, which is, yeah, it's amazing.
It's awesome. And
Yeah.
you're such great service with that.
Yeah.
And I love that. And I love that you can get that touch and feel, even though it's not in person, immediate feedback, right? I don't know. I see like an event in your future with all of your people.
Yeah, it's been in the works for a while. People have been wanting in person, and there's a lot of people that do retreats and travel and things like that. I've looked into some of it. I haven't done it yet because coming from the hospitality industry, I also have really high standards. So I want to, and especially with people with food allergies, right? I need to make sure that whatever I do is really safe and done really well
Yeah,
for community. If I'm
totally.
going to do something for them, I want it to be really done right.
Yeah, you'd
Yeah,
have to go back to Kripalu probably.
yeah. Yeah, that's an idea actually that I hadn't even really thought of.
Right?
Yeah.
They've got all that gluten-free section that
Yeah, they
I
have great
love.
food there. They
Oh,
have phenomenal food there.
their food's
Yeah,
amazing. So we're
yeah.
going to break real quick. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Chef Alina. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Look for the Good. I'm your host, Carrie Rowan. I'm so excited. We're here with Alina, Chef Alina. If you guys are just tuning in, you're going to have to listen to the replay because this is such a great, great story that you're telling. And all the mindset stuff that's weaved inside your story is really, really beautiful and transformative for people. And I love how you're really serving that group that you've created on Facebook. Um, one of the things on your bio that I was thought was so cool is that you've been on Chopped and the Cupcake Wars and also Beat Bobby Flay, because my daughter watches all those shows because she's an incredible baker. So tell us about that experience. What was that like? That must have been so stressful but so fun.
Yeah, I guess maybe the Chopped was maybe a little bit stressful. The rest of them weren't so much because Chopped was the first show that I was on. And boy, when was that? Like 2007? Maybe, I don't know, it was way back. I was on the second episode, the second day they ever filmed a show. So
Wow.
nothing ever aired yet. They didn't know what they were doing, and we didn't know what we were doing. It was a 14-hour day, maybe. It was really long. I think most people don't realize how long it takes to film one episode of one of those shows because they're so short. But if you think about it, they have to stop and clean up between each round, and that when the clock starts, that's real on all of those shows.
Hmm.
Um, so yes, Chopped was pretty stressful because none of us knew the format of the show, and they didn't tell us. So obviously, once the first season aired, anyone going on now knows because they can watch it. They didn't tell us what was happening with each round. We knew somebody was going to get kicked off. That was about it. We didn't know what each round was going to be. We didn't know what was in the pantry. Now, if you go on the show, you've seen it. So you know kind of the staples. And we didn't know what was in the pantry or where they were. So when we had 5 minutes to run and find stuff, it was a lot harder than people that have 5 minutes to find stuff now.
Oh,
It
wow.
was fun. I mean, I made friends with people. We all became friends, which is the other thing that happens in all of those shows. You become friends with everybody that you're on the show with, and still talk to some of them. After that, I'm trying to think what was next, but I think Cupcake Wars was next. That was another one that was so different than what you would think. That show films over 4 days, not just one day.
Oh,
That
wow.
show actually films over 4 days because it films on the West Coast. They have to fly you there and put you in a hotel, and all kinds of behind the scenes stuff happens.
Hmm.
And then, with each show, it's funny, with each show, I kind of did a little bit better. And it's because you start to know, I mean, in reality, all of those shows, they're entertainment and they're really a game, right? It's not everybody that's on them is at the same level. Everyone on there is good at what they do, or you wouldn't be on the show. And
Hmm.
then it comes down to editing and what happens in the moment, and then it's really just a game. So the more you do it, you also get better at kind of knowing what to do, what to say, all those kinds of things. So I was on the second episode ever filmed of Chopped. I was on the first episode of the second season, I think, of Cupcake Wars. I was on the first episode of Sweet Genius, which was a show with Ron Ben Israel, who's now Cake Wars. That was a great show. I wish they had kept it. That show was really fun. I won my episode of that show. One, because I think it was just really in my wheelhouse. It was all desserts, and it was similar to Chopped, except for that they threw mystery ingredients at you as you were going. Once you already had your mystery ingredients and you're going and you have your whole plan, and then randomly they just give you something else. And so that was really fun. That one was just fun. By the time I got to that show, also it was different because it just became fun. It wasn't really stressful. I love doing them. So one of the reasons that I really liked doing all of them, then I was also on Beat Bobby Flay and a show called Rewrapped, which was also only on for a season or two, which was with Joey Fatone and Mark Summers. Which was that show was a lot of fun too.
Fun. Yeah.
They're fun, and when you're there, you can't think about anything else happening in the world outside of the studio. You're just there and so involved in kind of what you're doing that it's just fun. It's like playing with your friends for the day. I don't know. And people would say, wasn't it stressful? And as a restaurant chef, it's actually less stressful. People think, isn't having the clock stressful? And I was like, well, yes and no. I changed my mindset. If you want to talk about mindset served me there too, because after the first show on Chopped, absolutely the clock got the best of me, like worrying about the clock and all that. But after that I realized that the clock on that show actually means so much less than the clock in my everyday life. As a
Mhm.
restaurant chef, you're always on the clock. You're making a meal for someone sitting in your dining room who is paying you money that you want to give an amazing experience and want to come back. And you can't screw it up because you need to get them their food in a reasonable amount of time. On a TV show, yeah, you're on a clock, actually, usually more time than you would be given in your own restaurant to make something for a bunch of random judges that are going to critique you about whatever that after you leave that day don't really matter.
Yeah.
So when
Right.
you weigh the two out, you realize that like actually the clock running in my everyday life and my restaurant is a heck of a lot more stressful and more important than the clock running on this show. And like as soon as I made that mindset switch, it yeah, it was easy to just go and have fun with it
And it
and
was fun.
do
Yeah.
what I do. And it was
Yeah.
fun. I'm just
Yeah.
doing what I do,
It's
you
switched
know?
to fun.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
My daughter loves to beat Bobby Flay because we're always like, waiting for somebody to beat. And there's a good amount of times that he does get beaten.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
such
That show was
fun.
fun too. He's really fun. He's great.
Is he?
My episode, the judges were Alex Guarnaschelli, who incidentally was one of my judges on Chopped as well.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
she- she's lovely. She's great. She's sometimes people think she's mean, but she actually has a heart of gold. And um why am I having I'm spacing
You'll
out.
think of it.
Alton Brown was one of the judges.
Oh yeah.
Was one of my judges on Beat Bobby Flay. He is the single most intimidating celebrity. Like I've met and worked with lots of people, the Food Network, whatever else. And he is just intimidating because he has such a dry sense of humor and he knows so much. He's a walking food encyclopedia with a dry sense of humor. So you never know if he's being serious or not. And at certain times, like I literally think I stopped in the middle of because at that point I had become more comfortable with like being in those situations,
Uh-huh.
and we're filming. And I literally he asked me something or something, and I literally turned to him and told him I was like, "Are you trying to stress me out?" Like because
That's
he's
awesome.
yeah yeah, but
That's
fun. They're all really fun. Yeah
so fun. I love that. And I love how you took the mindset and you flipped it, right? You're like, wait, my regular life is way more stressful than this.
yeah.
This is meant to be fun, right? I love that. I love that. So I love to ask people um, about a personal mantra. And you've given us so many great examples of using mindset. So, like, I have a little personal mantra that I like and I use all the time. It's right over here at the top of my desk. You can't see it, but it's right there. It says, things are always working out for me. So, that's my little mantra. when I forget, I just kind of need to remind myself. I have one upstairs in my bathroom mirror as well. Do you have a little personal mantra that you could share with people that they might adopt as their own?
For me, I do. It has to do with certain specific situations. So I have always been, my whole life, a very empathetic person, and especially with people. I mean, really with anyone, but especially with people that are close to me or in my circle, friends, family, whatever. So I tend to take on, and even again, working like in restaurants and stuff, other people's stress or like stress in moments when things maybe aren't perfect or when someone else is really upset about something, then it stresses me out and I start to like really feel it. So something that I have adopted that really has helped me is when that happens in a situation and it's really somebody else's stress, even if it's someone important to me and I want to help them with it and I need to deal with it. But I repeat to myself, I'm okay, they're okay, we're okay, everything's gonna be
Ooh.
okay. And if say that a few times and you realize, yeah, again, in almost any situation, okay, there's horrible, like major tragedy, maybe not. But in almost any situation, even something that in the moment seems really horrible, a bad medical diagnosis or something happens to you financially or whatever, in almost any situation, if you stop and think back over the course of your life and things that you thought were catastrophic at the moment, you got through it and everything was okay. So to remind yourself that in the moment, like I'm still here, I'm still breathing. They're here still, they're still breathing. We're okay, we're going to be okay. And reminding yourself of that helps to kind of like get rid of that the nervous energy and the hormonal stuff that happens when you don't remind yourself of those things. Yeah.
I love that. And it's so simple, but yet so powerful, right?
And it really works. It's crazy. Like when I was probably in the last few years that I started doing that. And I was like, wow, does it make a difference? Yeah. With my
Yeah.
kids, because as a parent, your kids get into something, get really stressed. My kids are young adults, and I start to take on their stress and worry about, as a parent, you worry about crazy things. You'll let things get into your head, like, are they doing okay? And should they be doing this and whatever? And then you stop to remind yourself, they're okay. I'm okay. We're all okay. Everybody's okay right now. We roof over our head. Everyone's breathing. Everyone's alive. We're good. We're okay.
Right.
And
I
it's like
love
that simple little thing makes you realize, okay, yeah, just
Yeah.
everything will be okay.
Calm down. But I
Yeah.
love that because the second you said it, I started thinking about my parenting role. I started thinking about my young people, my
Yeah.
YPs in my house. And like, yeah, it's just that. I have the same thing, very empathetic. You pick up other people's energy. And sometimes it's really good to just do a level set like that. Hey, wait a second. You've recognized that you do that. And then you've got this great little
Yeah.
mantra. I'm okay. They're okay. We're okay. It's all going to be okay. I can almost just breathe deeper when I just even think about it.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
for all the gems of wisdom that you've dropped here today. So tell them exactly where can they find your Facebook page?
So my Facebook page is Chef Alina. On all social platforms. It's like at Chef Alina and then the letter E afterwards. But if you just look up Chef Alina, you should find me. And my website is chefalina.com. My Facebook group, my big Facebook group is gluten-free baking secrets, tips, and tricks with Chef Alina. If you just search gluten-free baking in Facebook groups, it should be one of the top ones, if not the top ones pop up. And yeah, that's the best place to find me. Instagram and Facebook, really. I'm starting to do more with YouTube this year, but Instagram and Facebook is really where I do primarily all my stuff and my website.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, because I signed up for the group too, everybody. So you go and sign up for the group as well. And I already printed out my first recipe. I told my daughter she has to make it because it was oatmeal cookie day the other day, wasn't it?
Yep. National
National.
Cookie Day. No,
I don't know who comes up with all these national days, but
I don't either.
I always get I always get a kick out of them. So yeah, so the delicious kind of oatmeal cookies with the cream in the middle. Oh my
Yes.
gosh, I can't wait to make
Yes.
them.
Nostalgic. Remind everybody of the little Debbie oatmeal cream pies.
Yeah, and the little individual wrappers, right? Yeah,
Yep.
delish. I can't wait to make that. So thank you for all the wonderful little gems of wisdom you dropped as well. And remember, everybody, go over there, go to her page, chefalina.com. And again, remember, it's never too late, you guys. You find these stories, it's never too late to live your best story, right? And I think Chef Alina has represented that to us today, how you can turn that story around and change your life, right? On demand. I love that. So thank you, everybody. And don't forget, go to my website at carrierowan.com and click on podcasts, sign up for the newsletter so you can find out the really cool stuff that goes on behind the scenes. And again, it is never too late to live your best story. Thank you, everyone. Be well.
Thanks for tuning in to Look for the Good with your host, Carrie Rowan, best-selling author and mindset coach. Join us every Monday at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. right here at Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. If you weren't able to catch an episode, no worries. Just visit our website to find all the archived episodes of Look for the Good on demand so you don't miss a thing. And remember, it's never too late to live your best story. For additional resources or to find out about how you can work with Carrie directly, visit carrierowan.com for more details.